morning, everybody. So my name is Ben Vandenberghe. Just very briefly, maybe a little bit about my background. I'm the CEO of Skyline Communications. And Skyline Communications is a company we're specialized in what we call multi-vendor end-to-end network management solutions. So basically, we provide to telcos, cable TV companies, satellite companies, broadcast companies, a very sophisticated software application which allows them to manage, monitor, and orchestrate their entire operation end-to-end. So over the last 15 years, I had the pleasure to work with companies like BT, Proximus, KPN, Deutsche Telekom, AT&T, but also big major satellite operators like Eutelsat, for example, SES Astra, and major, better? Okay. And major companies in the broadcast industry, like NBC Universal, for example, MTV, Discovery Channel, etc. So we have been working a lot on how do you manage and monitor and orchestrate all these networks. But today we want to talk about the new generation of networks that is coming. We want to look at, what does it take to deploy all these different types of networks? And it could be, you're looking at 5G, you're looking at mobile. We have customers like, for example, TDC. They're the first one in Europe. They're rolling out DOCSIS 3.1 to increase that bandwidth. And you could be looking also at new satellite constellations. We recently signed an agreement, for example, with OneWeb, where we will be managing over 800 satellites. So they will launch 800 satellites in space and provide satellites directly from space to pretty much every square inch that you can find on this planet. So when you look at it, no matter what type of business you're in, no matter what network you have, there's some very fundamental things that I would like to share with you. Very fundamental things. Whether you're an investor or infrastructure provider, it doesn't really matter. But you need to look at what are the real challenges that you will be facing. Now, if you look at it, there's some really key facts. And these are key facts. And I'm sure you all know about this, but we always forget about it. It's, like your mother always told you not to do something, but you're probably going to do it. So in this case, for example, we're looking at converging markets. You will always have convergence. We have cable operators acquiring mobile networks to converge them into one platform because they want to be always connected to the different users. We have new delivery paths. Netflix, for example, Amazon, they're going over the top with their streaming services, so we have to deal with that. We have the content strategy. Netflix is actually a very good example of that. They started building their own content to differentiate themselves. But we see the same in Belgium. I'm from Belgium, for example. We have smaller cable operators starting to build their own fiction series. Our biggest customer in cable TV, which is Liberty Global, the most recent acquisition they did was the Formula One rights, just to get that content, for example. But that convergence that you have seen will always continue. So that's very important to keep that in the back of your mind. Then, of course, we have to deal with the ever faster evolving technology cycles. And it's going to go faster and faster and faster. And you will have to be prepared to embrace those technologies. So today we're talking about significant increases in capacity. Some of you may be looking at DOCSIS 3.1, some may be looking at 5G, new constellation of satellite networks. It doesn't really matter. But it's all new technology that comes in. The important thing is also to see it's going to be all IP based, obviously. Today, we see huge waves of transformation in terms of virtualization. Virtualization both on the processing side, so we have, for example, encoders that used to be hardware that are merging into data centers and becoming software applications. We have network virtualization. So there's a lot of virtualization going on, and that brings a lot of flexibility, a lot of agility in the networks. But you have to manage that agility. And of course, there's the equation of on-premises and off-premises. It's not about investing in your own infrastructure only, but it's about the capability to also leverage third-party services, Azure, Amazon, etc. If you look at the market, of course, I don't have to state that, but the customers are more demanding. Data services are becoming a necessity. It's like electricity. It has to be there, and it has been addressed before. But it's very important to keep that in mind, that you will have to manage that reliability. And ultimately, at the end of the day, no matter what network you have, no matter what infrastructure, considering all of that, it's about the user experience. And what is the user? We talked about it already a little bit today, but it's about the millennials. Millennials want everything at any time, wherever they are. That's a given. Everybody knows about this, okay? And what is Generation Z going to, demand? We don't know. But there's one very important difference that I want to point out, because you guys have been going through many technology transformations over many years. Technology transformation after technology transformation. There's one thing that is very different these days. Today, the demand of the customer, what you all want as a consumer, that's actually ahead of what everybody is offering. Operators don't have what customers want today. So that's a very important differentiator with anything that we have ever seen in this industry in the past. And it's a very important consideration to keep in the back of your mind, because the demand is actually ahead of what technology is supplying to you today. So this is a completely different kind of transition, because in the past, you have been replacing boxes. For example, you did technology migrations, you replaced boxes to make your network more efficient, to earn more money, okay, to squeeze in more capacity, for example. Today, it's not really about that. Today, the industry, and if you don't understand that, you will, go towards failure. If you don't understand the fact that the industry is led by changing business models in the first place. So just to sum it up, very important is to understand transitions, okay? Transitions that are really driven by business models in the first place. Technology, the evolution of technology, faster and faster and faster. You need to have the ability, if you run an operation, to be prepared to take new technologies on board and integrate them much faster than ever before. And then there's one more thing that I have not mentioned to you, but that's the other one over there, it's complexity. It's also a very important difference with everything we have ever seen in the past. Complexity in all of our networks, no matter if it's 5G or DOCSIS 3.1 or a new satellite constellation, it's growing beyond the point of human understanding. And this is not rocket science or anything like that. If you look at the logistic industry, the finance industry, it's the same. Those complex ecosystems, they change and grow beyond the point of human understanding. So also all of you, no matter what network or what technology you have, you will have to be prepared for that. So, and I like to sum it up like this, to put it very simple. Where's the DNA of your business? In the past, it was pretty simple. You line up a few boxes, you build a network, you build a certain service, and your DNA of what you do is hard-coded in the network. And in the best case, you were using software basically just to keep an eye on that. Today, it's driven by demand. You need to understand in your market, in your segment, what customers want and what they need, because they want a lot more than what everybody is offering today. And what you need to do is to come up with a solution. Whether you have a fiber network or a cable network or whatever it is that you do, first you have to define a solution. That really very exclusive business model where you try to live up to the expectation. And that's the DNA of your business. You're going to build a network, and that network is going to be, virtualized, network virtualization, for example, processing virtualization. It's all components and ingredients. The real intelligence on how you're going to be building that infrastructure, that DNA for your business model, is all going to be about software. It's going to be software sitting on top of that infrastructure. You can pour millions and millions into an infrastructure. If you're not prepared with a proper software layer to deal with that, you will not be ready to be successful. And I can give you a very plain vanilla example on this that you all know. But for example, if you look at the market, this is Uber, okay? There have been taxi companies around forever. Okay, and Uber could have gone out and also bought, a bunch of cars and tried to set up a taxi company. But they did not. They consider cars to be virtualized resources that are available. What they did in the first place is they looked at what customers want, what do they demand, and they built a software solution basically to orchestrate those resources and to build what they have today. And it's exactly the same for your type of business. It's about the ability not only to invest in infrastructure, but in a software layer to manage that end-to-end. If you look closely to this infrastructure, this is the next generation all-in-one end-to-end network management system that we're looking at. And we're not there yet. This is what we're building, this is what we're designing. But you would be looking at, at the bottom, all resources and orchestrator. The ability to tap into any piece of technology that you have. From any vendor, legacy interface, on-premises, off-premises, software, hardware, you need a software layer that communicates with everything. On the left-hand side, all automated. So all automated means that you need the ability to take all those resources, whether it's on-premises, off-premises, hardware, software, it doesn't really matter, and to orchestrate them. You need to be able to be very agile and to look at the demand from customers and re-engineer your network and your resources in a very flexible way. Build and design services and deploy them in a really true DevOps style. Because your operation has to evolve towards that DevOps style. Because that's what all the new players have. And then on the right hand, we have all data. I mentioned that to you. Your systems are about to evolve beyond the point of your human understanding. You can throw 500 engineers at it. They're going to look at it. They're not going to be able to figure it out. And by the time they figure it out, it's going to be really too late. So in that case, it's all about artificial intelligence. So we're building now network management software that you don't configure. It looks at the network, it learns about the network, and it learns what the normal behavior is of the network. And in a very sophisticated way, it can learn and basically provide input to you in terms of anomalies. And then finally, last but not least, at the top, all the operational processes. The days that your network was kind of a standalone component are finished. It's connected. It's connected, for example, with inventory and asset management systems, scheduling systems, ticketing systems, data sharing portals, and more importantly, APIs. So no matter what your network looks like, no matter what technology you provide, ideally, you have a single API that basically allows you to interact with your business in a very flexible way. So running a virtualized operation is really about the ability to take any technology from any vendor and whatever kind of technology or business it may be, even combine multiple networks, and to break it down into standard functions. To take those functions and to be able to engineer services in a more flexible way. Another thing that I mentioned was big data and artificial intelligence, and this is a huge one. This is because today you are all working in a reactive mode. Something happens, you react to it, you do something, and software is all reactive. Now we have to move towards proactive management. You have to be ahead of what's happening. So right now we're building artificial intelligence that sits in the software that manages the network and automatically learns about the behavior of the network. And you can see already some examples there at the top where you can see, for example, a bandwidth utilization and how the system, without you touching it, automatically learns about how is that bandwidth consumption behaving. And it's automatically creating a forecasting model to start calculating and forecasting exactly how it will behave tomorrow, in 1 hour, in 3 hours, etc. And it will give you, warnings when it sees any deviations from normal behavior. So that's one example to it. Another very key item is what we call algorithmic supported operation. It's going to redefine the way you manage your networks, because it's all about having intelligence sitting in the background assisting operators. And I have a good example here at the bottom, and you can see it over there. It's, looks like a plain vanilla dashboard. The problem with that dashboard is it's an OTT operation. And in an OTT operation, you can basically build a gazillion dashboards. I want to see quality by region. I want to see quality by type of subscription. I want to see quality by channel. I want to see quality by operating system on my mobile phone, etc., etc., etc. No human can look at all these dimensions in there. So what you see there is a dashboard that if you open it today or tomorrow or the day after, it's going to show you different graphs. Why? Because there's a sophisticated cluster analysis that basically makes a decision and says, I see anomalies in these dimensions in the network, and I'm going to adapt the dashboard to present that data to the user. So, user, you should be looking at this in the first place because I do see some deviations in that area. And this is a very exciting type of technology that is coming, and it's going to be very big in the coming years. But I'm going to have to wrap it up. So in terms of concluding, I think it's very important for you, whether you're investing in satellite or in fiber or cable TV or whatever type of infrastructure, to understand that it's first going to be about adapting to evolving customer requirements. If you don't understand that you're just going to have, investing into bandwidth, it's not going to work. It's about the ability to have tools to manage and leverage the flexibility. There's going to be a lot of virtualization. We're just seeing the beginning right now. But you will have to have software that manages basically all that agility, allows you to re-engineer those different blocks, okay? So, and in terms of that, I want to conclude the fact that a lot of your operation is not going to be about the network itself. It's not most of your money is going to go into the infrastructure. But the key to success is going to be your software, the software that you have sitting on top of that, and your ability and agility basically to manage everything end to end. Okay? Thank you very much.